My name is Sumnar Caballero, and this is my audience. I promise to be true to you, in good times and in bad times. I promise to love you and honor you all the days of my life. You and I and the entire world are identical in our hearts, and that this is the love that we all want, need, and deserve. But these are the lies that one gives through the practice of premarital sex. In order for us to find true love, we must first consult love's author, God. God is not love's rival. He does not wish to suppress love or put restraints on it. In fact, he is the source of limitless, endless, and boundless love. Solely because I love God is why I am a 21-year-old virgin. No, there is no defect in me that has made me refuse sex. It is simply because I live my life not to please myself, but to please God. Purity is not a condemnation of anyone. It is a calling that we are all capable of obtaining. And further, it will lead us to the promises and virtues of nuptial love. Today, I will hopefully persuade you to reconsider your point of view on purity as I explore the health and emotional risks that premarital sex guarantee, as well as practical practices to purity. I'll begin with the health risks that one takes when they engage in sex before marriage. And I'll begin with a statement that might come off as a surprise to some of you. There is no such thing as safe sex. Scientifically, none. But what about contraceptive methods, such as condoms and birth control pills? Condoms are 100% ineffective to the nation's #1 STD, and that is HPV, human papillomavirus. This disease is transferred from the abdomen to mid-thigh. The National Institute of Health has the following to say on condom effectiveness. For men, we do not have sufficient scientific evidence to prove that the condom can protect men from 6 of the 8 most common STDs. And we do not have sufficient scientific evidence to prove that condoms can protect women from 7 of the 8 most common STDs. What do doctors tell their female patients when they give them birth control? Are they told that they are now 15 times more likely to develop cervical cancer within their lifetimes? Are they told that this pill lowers their immune system, making them all the more susceptible to any STD and any disease out there? Or are they told with continuous use of this pill that the cervix can be thinned to 1 centimeter, possibly causing miscarriages and infertility? The statistics are out there. Simply by me Googling how many Americans in America have STDs, the CDC reported back that at any given time there are 110 million Americans with an STD. I could go on and I could break down the hundreds, the thousands, and the millions of Americans who have different types of STDs in this nation, but what is that going to do? Scare you? Overwhelm you? That's exactly what I don't want to do. And further, that is exactly what no one should do to you to persuade you to have sex or not have sex. My previous points were justly aimed so that you would not become ignorant to the falsity of safe sex. I'll now turn your attention towards the person and their emotion involved in premarital sex so that we do not dehumanize them down to a simple sexual statistic. Psychiatrist Robert Stone states, "Feelings help us survive, and further, that they give us a quick assessment about whether something is good for us or bad for us, and they motivate us to take actions accordingly." To put this into perspective, I'll set up a hypothetical but practical scenario. According to the Population Institute, the mean average of sexually active teens is 15. So to keep it real, we'll say that we have a 15-year-old boy and girl who've been together for the eternity of 3 months. So the boy turns to the girl and says, "Baby, if you love me, you'll have sex with me." How is this girl to survive the situation with her emotions? First, I'd like her to ask, why is it up to her to prove this relationship and its love with sex? And why can't he prove the relationship's love without sex? But let's say this girl knows His favorite color is green. She knows that he's scared of the dark, so she decides to have sex with him. What is she left with? Emptiness, fears, guilt, fears that her parents are going to find out, fears that he's done with her and doesn't want anything more, fears that she's going to have an STD, or fears of pregnancy. I'll tell you something right now. The greatest gift that God has ever given us, besides himself, is children. And a child should never be brought into this world through fear or guilt. And the same goes for the act that brings children into this world. They should not be done through fear or guilt. Had this boy truly loved this girl, he would have considered her emotions before, during, and after sex. Did you know that when a doctor finds out that his teen patient is sexually active, he has to test her for depression because the emotional tolls can be so great? And teens aren't the only ones susceptible to this. Adults are just as prone. When we don't rightfully consult our emotions, we are bound to make mistakes. But don't worry. We're human. It's in our nature to make mistakes. It's also in our nature to have sexual desires. It's natural. But it's through our actions that we make these desires into virtues or vices. No matter if your virginity is intact right now or not, you are capable of practicing purity. It doesn't matter how stained your past is, because your future can be spotless. So how do we practice purity? We can start by looking at the influences that we allow in our lives. For instance, the radio. What are we listening to on the radio? Is it telling us explicit things about each other's bodies and to do them? Know that you have the right to change that channel. How about the movies that we watch? Are they telling us that with a contract we can choke one another, whip one another, and bind one another during sex? You have the right to turn that movie off. How about the TV shows that we watch? Are they telling us to keep the doors open to whoever walks by? Know that you have the right to turn that channel off. We have to work towards purifying what we allow to come into our vision so that we don't lead ourselves into further temptations. Next, maybe we might want to look at the relationships that we're involved in. If it's one that has sex in it, and we want to see what the foundations of the relationship truly is it one built upon lust or love? What we can do is take the sex out and see how the relationship stands. If it crumbles, you'll have a good indication of what that relationship was built upon. But know that you should never belittle yourself, your morals, or your values for anybody. You want to find a partner that shares your morals and values, not someone that simply tolerates them. Contrary to popular belief, virginity is increasing among teens and young adults in the U.S. from age 15 to 44, according to the U.S. Center of Disease Control. Speaking from personal experience, I can tell you that people like this are out there. As I stated before, I am a virgin, and I've been involved in a relationship for the past 5.5 years, absent of sex. I found the foundation of my relationship, and it is built upon love. Together, we know who our Creator is. We know that He made sex. We know that He made it for 2 reasons: to bring a man and a woman together in holy matrimony, and to bring life into this world. At the end of the day, the battle isn't between you and the radio, you and the TV, or you and a movie, or even you and your partner. It's between you and your heart. Bottom line, what is purity? Why do we pursue it? Do we pursue it so that we don't contract STDs? Do we pursue it so that we don't hurt someone else's feelings? Yes, and yes. But it goes much further than that. Purity perfects our sexual desires. It frees us to love freely and for the right reasons. And it leads us to our wedding days, when we can walk down the altar, look into the love of our life's eyes, and tell them, I give myself to you, wholly, freely, and entirely. Thank you.